Hey there, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for your feedback. We really appreciate your feedback. Our videos and our tutorials will keep on improving as we continue to get your feedback, so thank you. Today we are going to be looking at stability, aircraft stability. And in aircraft stability, we have static stability and we have dynamic stability. So we'll start looking at static stability. What is static stability? First of all, stability is the ability of an aircraft to return to its original state of flight or to remain in that state of flight. Should a disturbance occur, for example, a gust or something of the sort that makes the aircraft either to pitch up or pitch down or to roll maybe to the left or to the right, whatever the disturbance, the ability of the aircraft to return to the original position or to the flight attitude that it was flying in before the disturbance is what we call a stability. This is without the effort from the pilot. For the aircraft to bring itself back to the position that it was flying in is what we call stability. We'll look at static stability, and I'm going to use the following diagrams to describe static stability. As you can see, we have three diagrams here. We have three scenarios, and we look at them one by one in order to describe stability, static stability. So static stability is the ability of an aircraft to return to a particular position of flight instantly, like immediately, without making any oscillation whatsoever. The ability to return to a particular position of flight or to assume a new position immediately with immediate effect is what we call static stability. And I will use this diagram to illustrate this. We can see this first diagram. This form of stability. I'll use this as my aircraft, and this is a particular condition of flight, maybe a straight flight. So if this flight, if a force is applied to this aircraft and it goes to this side, it goes to the right or to the left, there's no way it's going to return to this position. It will either go to the right and stay here or go to the left and stay here. So this is negative static stability, because after disturbance, the aircraft goes further to a new position. This is what we call negative static stability. Then we go to our second diagram here, the second scenario here. You can see if this, being our aircraft, if it's displaced to this side, either to the right or to the left, it is going to return to this position where it is. And this one is called positive static stability. Whenever a disturbance occurs and it returns immediately to the original position, that is positive static stability. But if it goes further and further away, like in the first diagram, this is negative static stability. Now, our last scenario here on this diagram here, this is the aircraft. If it moved to this position, it comes and stays here. Or if it moves this side on the left, it comes and stays here. This is neutral static stability. Neutral static stability, the aircraft will always assume a new position whenever it's disturbed, either by gust or winds, whatever the case, it will assume a new position. That is neutral static stability. That is the first form of stability that we wanted to look in this video. The next is dynamic stability. Dynamic stability is the ability of an aircraft to return to original position, flight position or flight condition through oscillations. It makes some oscillations as it tries to return to the original position, or even to depart further and further from the original position. And I'll use the diagrams to illustrate the same like I've done on the previous on static stability. So again, we have three diagrams. When an aircraft, let's say this is the disturbance. When an aircraft is flying in a particular position and then it is disturbed from that position, maybe by gusts or something, it goes, as this diagram illustrates, it goes and then it's damping out the oscillation and it returns to the original flight position. This is positive dynamic stability. It doesn't go further and further away. it oscillates a bit as it's dampening the length, dampening the amplitude of oscillation, thereby returning to the original flight position. This is called the positive dynamic stability. In this second diagram here, we see it's disturbed. The aircraft is disturbed from its original flight, but the amplitude of the disturbance is almost equal. It's making oscillations that are equal in amplitude or in length. This is neutral dynamic stability. The oscillation they are not varying in terms of length or position. They are going. It's making the same length of oscillation. That is neutral dynamic stability. Finally, in our last diagram here, we see that from the time the aircraft is disturbed, it goes further and further away in terms of length of amplitude of the disturbance. When an aircraft goes further and further away from a slight disturbance, but is making the aircraft to go further and further away, that one is negative dynamic stability. Negative dynamic stability, the aircraft will continue to depart further and further from the original trimmed position. So those are the kind of stability that we have. Now, there's one thing I want to point out before I finish this video. For you to have, for an aircraft to have dynamic stability, it must first have static stability. So static stability comes first before an aircraft can have dynamic stability. We can have an aircraft that has both static stability and dynamic stability, but it has to be statically stable first before it can be dynamically stable. But an aircraft can be dynamically stable without being, for an aircraft to be dynamically stable, it has to be statically stable. But an aircraft can be statically stable without being dynamically stable. I was confusing a little bit, but that's how it's supposed to be. You can have an aircraft that is statically stable and not necessarily dynamically stable. But for an aircraft to be dynamically stable, it has to be statically stable. So this is what we had for you today. Thank you for tuning. Again, as a reminder, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe by clicking on the subscribe button. You can also turn on the notifications so that you'll be receiving notifications whenever we post new videos. We really appreciate your feedback, and we continue to wait for more feedback that will enable us to improve on our videos and our explanation for the tutorial. If you also have a topic, a particular system, aircraft system that you want us to highlight, maybe in our next video or in our coming videos, don't forget, you can share that, you can put that on a comment, and then we'll look at it and then we'll come up with that video. So thank you for tuning. Bye bye.